Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I figured for this video I would show you my beginner book collection. Why? Because I really like beginner books. And I collected all 143 with them, starting from the Cat in a Hat to the alphabet book. The first 102 of them are called regular beginner books. And the last 41 of them are bright and early beginner books. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have beginner book 1, The Cat in the Hat. Then we have beginner book 2, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. Then we have beginner book 3, A Fly Went By. Then we have beginner book 4, The Big Jump and Other Stories. Then we have beginner book 5, A Big Ball of String. Then we have beginner book 6, Sam and the Firefly. Then we have beginner book 7, You Will Go to the Moon. Then we have beginner book 8, Cowboy Andy. Then we have next up is beginner book 9, The Wells Go By. Then we have beginner book 10, Stop That Ball. Then we have beginner book 11, Bennett Cerf's Book of Laughs. Then we have beginner book 12, Anne Can Fly. Then we have beginner book 13, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Then we have beginner book 14, The King's Wish and Other Stories. Then we have beginner book 15, Bennett Cerf's Book of Riddles. Then we have beginner book 16, Green Eggs and Ham. Then we have beginner book 17, Put Me in the Zoo. Then we have beginner book 18, Are You My Mother? Then we have beginner book 19, 10 Apples Up on Top. Then we have beginner book 20, Go Dog Go. Then we have beginner book 21, Little Black a Pony. Then we have beginner book 22, Look Out for Pirates. Then we have beginner book 23, A Fish Out of Water. Then we have beginner book 24, More Riddles. Then we have beginner book 25, Robert the Rose Horse. Then we have beginner book 26, I Was Kissed by a Seal at the Zoo. Then we have beginner book 27, Snow. Then we have beginner book 28, The Big Honey Hunt. Then we have beginner book 29, Hop on Pop. Then we have beginner book 30, Dr. Seuss's ABC. Then we have beginner book 31, Do You Know What I'm Going to Do Next Saturday? Then we have beginner book 32, Summer. Next up, beginner book 33, Little Black Goes to the Circus. Then we have beginner book 34, Bennett Cerf's Book of Animal Riddles. Then we have beginner book 35, Why I Built the Boogle House. Then we have beginner book 36, The Bike Lesson. Next up, we have beginner book 37, How to Make Flibbers, etc. Then we have beginner book 38, Fox and Socks. Then we have beginner book 39, The King, the Mice, and the Cheese. Then we have beginner book 40, I Wish That I Had Duck Feet. Then we have beginner book 41, The Bear's Picnic. Then we have beginner book 42, Don and Donna Go to Bat. Then we have beginner book 43, You Will Live Under the Sea. Then we have beginner book 44, Come Over to My House. Then we have beginner book 45, Babar Loses His Crown. Then we have beginner book 46, The Bear Scouts. Then we have beginner book 47, The Diggingest Dog. Next up, beginner book 48, Travels of Dr. Dolittle. Next up, we have beginner book 49, Dr. Dolittle and the Pirates. Next up, beginner book 50, Off to the Races. Next up, beginner book 51, The Best Nest. Next up, beginner book 52, The Bear's Vacation. Next up, beginner book 53, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Magical Car. Next up, we have beginner book 54, King Midas and the Golden Touch. Next up, we have beginner book 55, The Bear's Christmas. Next up, we have beginner book 56, Tubby and the Lantern. And then we have beginner book 57, Tubby and the Poobah. And then we have beginner book 58, My Amazing Book of Autographs. Next up, we have beginner book 59, Wacky Wednesday. Next, we have beginner book 60, The Bear Detectives. Next up, we have beginner book 61, Because a Little Bug Went Cuckoo. Next up, we have Beginner Book 62. Oh, the Thinks You Can Think. Next up, we have Beginner Book 63. Please try to remember the 1st of October. Next up, we have Beginner Book 64. I can read with my eyes shut. Next up, we have Beginner Book 65. Oh, say can you say. Next up, we have Beginner Book 61. The Berenstain Bears and the Missing Dinosaur Bone. Next up, we have Beginner Book 67. Maybe you should fly a jet. Maybe you should be a vet. Next up, we have Beginner Book 68. It's not easy being a bunny. Next up, we have Beginner Book 69, Spooky Riddles. Next up, we have Beginner Book 70, What Do Smurfs Do All Day? Next up, we have Beginner Book 71, The Very Bad Bunny. Next up, we have Beginner Book 72, I Want to Be Somebody New. Next up, we have Beginner Book 73, The Black Stallion. Next up, we have Beginner Book 74, I Am Not Going to Get Up Today. Next up, we have Beginner Book 75, The Cat's Quizzer. Next up, we have Beginner Book 76, Stop Train Stop. Next up, we have Beginner Book 77, New Tricks I Can Do. Next up, we have Beginner Book 78, Anthony the Perfect Monster. Next up, we have Beginner Book 79, Four Pups and a Worm. Next up, we have Beginner Book 80, Honey Bunny Funny Bunny. Next up, we have Beginner Book 81, Come Down Now Flying Cow. Next up, we have Beginner Book 82, Can You Tell Me How to Get to Sesame Street? Next up, we have Beginner Book 83, Mercer Mare's Critters of the Night Roast and Toast. Next, we have Beginner Book 84, Monster Munchies. Next, we have Beginner Book 85, A Little Pig Goes a Long Way. Next, we have Beginner Book 86, The Land Before Time. Next, we have Beginner Book 87, Riddles and More Riddles. Now, we have Beginner Book 88, Flap Your Wings. Next, we have Beginner Book 89, That Stump Must Go. Next, we have Beginner Book 90, Paws and Claws. Next, we have Beginner Book 91, A Crack in the Track. Next, we have Beginner Book 92, Big Dog, Little Dog. And then Beginner Book 93, Go Train Go. And then we have Beginner Book 94, Fred and Ted Go Camping. Then we have Beginner Book 95, Mrs. Wow Never Wanted a Cow. Now, we have Beginner Book 96, Fred and Ted Like to Fly. Next up, Beginner Book 97, The Belly Book. Next, we have Beginner Book 98, Trains, Cranes, and Troublesome Trucks. Next, we have Beginner Book 99, Have You Seen My Dinosaur? Next up, we have Beginner Book 100, Fred and Ted's Road Trip. Next, we have Beginner Book 101, A Pet Named Sneaker. And the last of the regular beginner books, Beginner Book 102, Squirrels on Skis. Now we'll go into my Bright and Early book collection. Now we'll go into the Bright and Early books. First, we have Bright and Early Book 1, the Foot Book. Next, Bright and Early Book 2, the Eye Book. Then we have Bright and Early Book 3, the Ear Book. Next, Bright and Early Book 4, Inside, Outside, Upside Down. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 5, Hand, Hand, Fingers, Thumb. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 6, Bears on Wheels. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 7, Mr. Brown Can Moo, Can You? Next, we have Bright and Early Book 8, The Nose Book. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 9, Old Hat, New Hat. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 10, Bears in the Night. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 11, The Berenstein's Bee Book. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 12, In a People House. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 13, Marvin K. Mooney, Will You Please Go Now? Next, we have Bright and Early Book 14, C is for Clown. And then Bright and Early Book 15, The Many Mice of Mr. Bryce. And then we have Bright and Early Book 16, The Shape of Me and Other Stuff. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 17, I'll Teach My Dog 100 Words. And then we have Bright and Early Book 18, There's a Walk It in My Pocket. Next, we have Bright and Early Book 19, Great Day for Us. And then we have Bright and Early Book 20, He Bear, She Bear. And then we have Bright and Early Book 21, Would You Rather Be a Bullfrog? And then we have Bright and Early Book 22, Hooper Humperdinck, Not Him. Then we have Bright and Early Book 23, The Berenstein Bears and the Spooky Old Tree. And then we have Bright and Early Book 24, The Hare Book. And then we have Bright and Early Book 25, The Toot Book. Then we have Bright and Early Book 26, Wings on Things. Then we have Bright and Early Book 27, The Berenstein Bears on the Moon. And then we have Bright and Early Book 28, Snug House, Bug House. Then we have Bright and Early Book 29, Snowbugs. Then we have Bright and Early Book 30, the A Book, the Berenstein's A Book. Then we have Bright and Early Book 31, It's Not Easy Being Big. Then we have Bright and Early Book 32, Mama Loves. Then we have Bright and Early Book 33, Where's Bear? Then we have Bright and Early Book 34, Chuckle with Huckle. Then we have Bright and Early Book 35, The Knee Book. And then we have Bright and Early Book 36, Money, Money, Honey Bunny. Then we have Bright and Early Book 37, Blue Train, Green Train. And then we have Bright and Early Book 38, Harry and His Bucket Full of Dinosaurs, X Marks the Spot. Then we have Bright and Early Book 39, Fast Train, Slow Train. Then we have Bright and Early Book 40, 10 Eggs in a Nest. Last but not least, Bright and Early Book 41, the Alphabet Book. Hope you enjoyed my beginner book collection. Hope you like my channel and please subscribe.